Hello everyone and welcome to another Heffy Doodle video. We have the new Teacher's Pet stamp set, teacher word die, the Clover frames, some LuLaRoe pants, a new Deadpool t-shirt, and my hair's a mess. You're welcome. So I've cut a piece of Nina 110-pound cardstock down with my Your Next stamp die, and I'm using the little frame from the Clover frames die set, and I'm trying to get it centered into my piece of paper there. But this is really cool because this die produces a ton of different elements that you can work with. This frame is very cool, and you can stitch it. You could like stitch different rainbow thread. It also has this beautiful label that the center cuts out, and you could use that any number of ways, but I'm going to use this negative part of the die today. I'm going to create a shaker card, and I'm trying to determine whether I want to do old school black and white like chalkboard background or maybe something else. So it took a minute, but I'm using this quantum background by Deep Red Stamps, and I'm going to go with the white, and I'm going to stamp it in blue so that I could do like a I guess like a whiteboard with a dry erase marker. And you have to take out the foam pad when you're using the deep red rubber stamps because they're way thicker. So pick it up in the Door of the Misty without the foam pad. And we're using Distress Oxide in Salty Ocean and the Spellbinder's Tool-in-One to use a little brayer action, but I did end up stamping it twice. I love how the oxides stamp, and they're so bright, and I think it makes a great ink to use for this type of background. So I'm trying to add a little bit of interest to this card. So I pulled out the cork. Teachers love cork boards, right? So I'm using the teacher word die and my Sizzix sidekick, and I'm gonna run it through twice just because I want it to make sure that it's cutting. And does this ever happen to you where an adhesive backed paper, just the release paper comes right off of it when you're pulling it out of the die? Well, I have this little silicone mat by Stampin' Up, and you just kind of lay the adhesive part on the silicone mat, or it could be release paper and it does the same thing, but it'll be okay there until you pick it back up. So I'm also cutting the teacher word die 2 other times from Nina 110-pound cardstock because we're going to layer them together and create like a chipboard die cut. So I'm making sure all of the parts and pieces are popped out. And I have been using this exact syringe for over a year, and it just now started to clog. So if you're interested in using these adhesive, precision adhesive syringes, I sell them in my Etsy shop. But if they ever clog, which it took over a year for this one too, I just pull out another tip and throw it on there. It's that easy. So now my little syringe is back up and running. I'm going to use it to adhere all of these layers together, both the 2 layers of Nina 110 and the top layer, the cork piece, which I believe that cork is Die Cuts with a View cork. And I'm not sure if it's still available. I kind of hoard paper. Does anyone else hoard paper? I have, I guess, that issue. So I've had these paper packs a long time. Anyway, we're just popping on that last part, and I'm using my pokey tool to kind of get in the little nooks and crannies. I don't try to get too precise, except for when I'm trying to shoot this thing into the trash can like a basketball god. Yeah, I'm lame. Totally did not work as cool as I thought it was gonna be. So I'm going to stamp my images. These images are from the Teacher's Pet set, and I'm stamping them with Memento Tuxedo black ink on a piece of Nina 110-pound cardstock. We're going to do some Copic coloring, and I always stamp it twice just in case. So these little cubbies make it really handy for me to just bring my Copics over to my workspace. If you would rather skip this, go to 6, 7, 13, and you won't have to watch any of this coloring because I know that it can be boring to some people. I did miss a little bit of the bear coloring, but it's all the same. And I have a Copic color map that will pop up on the screen here at some point, but I'll have it on my blog. Sorry, my voice, once I start talking through these voiceovers, my voice just does not want to participate. You can pin these color maps and save them for later if you see any color combinations that you might want to use. It's over on my blog at KorenWiskman.com. But I'm just using really simple 3-color blends on my bear. She is an awesome teacher bear because she teaches STEM, which is the science and engineering, mathematics, something. I got it close. It was close. But we know that we all need more females in STEM programs, so I just figured I was going to make her a totally awesome teacher bear with a STEM theme. I'm pretty happy with the way that it turned out. Also colored her a little beaker of some green fluid. I'm not a scientist or mathematical, so I don't know what it could be. But I am making it a shaker card, so I pulled a piece of acetate from my stash, perfectly cut to what I needed it to be. And I am stamping the sub-sentiment. It says, you're an awesome to the most awesome. And I'm stamping that on Nina with abandoned coral distress oxide ink. And I'm using my Heffy Doodle strips of ease dies to cut them out. I love using this. These dies save me so much. And it's cut perfect. Love it. So I'm using some scrapbook.com. This is 1/8 inch adhesive, and I'm just going to run that around the inside portion of my kind of window here and cutting it off. And once you pull off the release paper, then you could stick your acetate piece down on there, and you've made your shaker window for your card. I'm going to use, the Stampin' Up adhesive foam strips, and these two work very similar to the double-sided tape I just used. You can manipulate it to go all the way around your shaker window and contain your shaker bits within the portion where you want it to be seen. Now this foam adhesive is twice the Scotch 3M foam tape, so it really does make it perfect to make your shaker wells in all shapes and sizes. The rest of the card will get a 2 times double foam tape around the rest of it. It just makes it easier to use the larger widths of foam tape to finish off, and making sure everything is level and it's going to sit on the front of the card nice and steady. So once we get everything at the same level, we're going to use my EK Success powder tool to get a little bit of the stickiness away from the window. And this Nuvo Surface Sweep Brush, oh, I love it. It helps me clean up my powder. And this is mini pearls. They're like little tiny, I don't know, pieces of resin almost. I don't know what they are actually, but they're awesome. And I love using them in shaker cards. And this color is called Ribbit. I'm going to remove the adhesive backing very carefully, trying not to spill any of my mini pearls all over the place. And then we're going to put that scientific or quantum background in the background of the shaker. So now it looks like my STEM teacher has an explosion of green something all over the background. We're using this scrapbook.com adhesive that I cut to the perfect width of my backgrounds, and I'm coating it to the back so that it sticks to my card base, which is a Simon Says Stamp Fog card base. And I'm also using the same 1/8 adhesive to put on the back of my sub-sentiment to the most awesome, and sticking that flat to the card front. Now I want to adhere this cork piece. So I'm going to use Ranger Multimedia Matte, just like I did to adhere the layers together, and just put that right below the to the most awesome. Now I need to adhere my awesome STEM teacher, so we're going to use Scotch 3M foam tape behind her to give her some dimension on the card as well. So we're going to pop her in the bottom right corner, and we're also going to give her that beaker. I used Ranger Multimedia Matte to adhere that piece. This is Nuvo Crystal Drops in Simply White, and we're just going around her necklace so that she has a beautiful pearly necklace. And this is a Jelly Roll number 10 because there are different sizes. White gel pen. We're just adding some lace to the bottom of her dress, filling in the circles and making that black line white. So this is Nuvo Crystal Glaze, and I'm putting that on the beaker, and I'm using a micro brush to spread it around and make sure that it's all gonna stay put. And I felt like something else was missing, so I did end up using a Doodlebug heart, and I still, even after I turned off the camera, I did add a few other things to the card. I added Nuvo drops to above the beaker to kind of simulate like bubbles. And then I did stamp a stack of quizzes for the teacher to, I guess, grade. And I put them on the teacher corkboard with a mini brad from Doodlebug. I hope you enjoyed this card video. Please leave us a comment down below if you have any questions, and we'll see you next time. You can find Heffy Doodle or myself on all of these social media sites. I'm Koren Wiskman everywhere. Thanks for watching.